Hey guys, what's up? It is your man, Lenny. You are live with Wholesaling with Lenny, man. I do have the honor and the pleasure, y'all, of interviewing this brother, man. He's been in the space, for years. He is a titan in the space, man. Y'all know, y'all. If you in the space, you see the name, and y'all already know what it is, man. It's Mr. Get the Deals Mills. Guys, man, welcome, Mr. Jamar Mills, man. How you doing, Jamar?
Oh man, it's a pleasure, man. Definitely a pleasure to be here, man.
No doubt, man. No doubt, man. So I just want to open up, man, with some things, man. Like I just want to know, like, how long have you been in the space? Because your name ring bells in the space.
So, it's been about 2 years. 2 years now. Yeah, it's been about 2 years.
2 years.
2 years. Yep, 2 years.
So within the last 2 years, you've positioned yourself in your market and in other markets across the country,
right,
to be that guy, where they say, well, I know who can move that. And they bring the deals to Jamar. How did you lock in your market?
Okay, so basically, I had a whole, I went the back road. So you know how people they go on the acquisition side first and lock it up. I went the back road. I went dispo side first. I reverse engineered it. So I knew I hit every single area, every zip code within my market. And then what I did was I looked them up, found the buyers for them, found all of their criteria, and built relationships with them. So now, when everybody had something, I automatically knew who to go to and who it would fit. And once they start seeing that, they start sending it straight to me.
Wow. So you actually got the buyer. You got the box.
Yeah, I got the box. I created the box.
So right, exactly. So you created the box. You put the buyers in the box.
Then put them in the box.
And then you put the box. That is awesome.
Yeah. So it's sort of like you see how the hedge fund got their box.
Right.
They already got their stuff together. They're already teaming up. But I simply single-handedly made one and then been able to adjust to every zip code in my city. So whatever anyone got, if they can't move it, I can go ahead and get it going for them.
Nice. So, man, that's an awesome thing to do, man. So within, like, how did you, what ticked you, what turned you on to wholesaling? Like, because I hear a lot of stories where people be like, man, well, I had did my 9 to 5, or I was tired of my 9 to 5, or I had always wanted to get into real estate and never did, or my uncle was in real estate, right, and he taught me a lot. Like, what turned on the light for you?
I was scrolling through YouTube. There's a couple of things, but the first thing was that caught me is I was scrolling through YouTube one day, right, and it just popped up, and it was this guy, Jay Morrison.
Mm-hmm.
He popped up, and then he was going over it. So I got more and more infatuated with it. Then after that, they had other people, that show up in the system and show up that do it as well.
Right.
Seeing like the Brent Daniels, and then I started looking more into them, Brent Daniels and Jamil and all of these people, and I started like every day. I started getting obsessed with it. I started getting more and more infatuated with it. I'm taking notes and then, taking action with it as well. The more I learned, the more I got obsessed with it, and that's what really turned me on. And the wholesaling is something that already itself that I was familiar with. Like, people don't understand that every day people wholesale every day, but they don't understand the concept because now we're talking about houses.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And it's like people do creative financing every day, but they don't again because now we're talking about houses. Because people put clothes and toys on layaway every day.
When
you start talking about houses, they don't know.
Right. Exactly. And it's funny you said that because I put in an offer on 116 unit. 16 units. Friday, I believe Thursday or Friday, and the realtor didn't know how to write the deal. like my realtor knew how to write the deal, you know what I mean? But the realtor who had the property didn't know how to write the deal. The broker had no answers on how the commission went. And you know, I'm sitting here like these people are professionals. Like, what's going on? Like, not the realtors or anything, you know. But I'm thinking like these people are like are trained for this. Like, but then I found out like they're not really trained for that. They're trained to sell the bank products.
No, they're not. They're not. What I noticed is a lot of realtors not. It's a slim. The ratio is real slim. Like with them, a lot of them, and not nothing against them or that like that, but the ratio is real slim on them having knowledge of that, especially creatively, novation, sub two, or anything like that. It's not even in their exam.
Right.
Not even there. You know?
Definitely.
And the best thing that I could think of, the way around that, would be to basically explain to them where they're within the whole transaction creatively, where their commission comes in, like how they get paid out.
Exactly.
So, you know, and then once they realize that and see that, they'll go ahead and relate that to the seller.
Right.
Okay, so this is what he's talking about.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, man. It takes a season. You know, I was telling people like it takes a seasoned realtor to kind of get it.
It's not that many.
No, it's not that many at all. It's not that many at all. It's slim pickings, man. And you know, you look at it, they be like, "No, that's illegal." I'm like, "No, I didn't know illegal. What you talking about?" You know what I mean? So
they will. A lot will. I've been told by a couple that is illegal, and it is legal.
Yeah, totally legal, 100%.
Like it's even in even sub 2, the subject 2, that whole transaction it's on the line within the HUD statement that you can do that. You can do it. Like I don't.
Yeah, definitely, man. So like, where in your real estate journey, where are you now? Like, have you moved from? Well, actually, man, dude, I know you do everything. You do commercial.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, so to break it down, one of my niches that became something that I definitely fell in love with is mobile home parks.
Yeah.
Like not just the mobile home, but the entire park, the whole lot. That's became something that I definitely became definitely keen to in this space. We have recently just 2 in Georgia not too long ago. We closed on 99 pads.
Wow.
We could be coming up 99 pads in Wichita Falls, Texas. That was supposed to have been closed, but we had to keep pushing it back because they had some issues with some oil spills and everything within on the land, and plus the due diligence period had to get pushed back another 30 days. But that's supposed to be coming up soon. That 99 pads closed.
Nice.
And we locked up. We got one letter of intent signed a couple of weeks ago. 12 pad park in New Mexico. I'm working on a 60 pad out in Colorado.
So like you transcended outside your market.
Yeah, because my market don't have parks.
Right.
But city or field. So, and you know, parks are a lot of just outside the city and rural areas. So
right.
And then I'm also working on a 41 single family residence portfolio just outside of Detroit.
Okay,
that's in the middle of negotiations on that. That's the seller financing available. And you're in Missouri, right?
Yeah, definitely.
I'm working on something in your backyard too.
Oh, it's going down.
Yeah.
That portfolio deal, man. Could you break that down, you know, from our audience for the portfolio deal?
Okay, yeah. So for the portfolio, it's 41 single family residents, right? They're all 100% occupied, free and clear, no back taxes, no liens, no judgments or anything. And they're all committed long-term paying tenants, right? Just outside of Detroit. So it's right there in the suburbs of Detroit, great school districts and everything like that. And, you know, they're all in fair condition. They're all in great to fair condition, fair to great condition, or what have you.
Nice.
So it appraised at 8.8 million, right? Entirely. And he wanted to initially sell it at 8.5, but we know that a buyer can't make no money coming in at closely appraised to.
Exactly.
So I was able to just renegotiate it down to 6.9.
Wow.
And that's based on seeing that. That's one loophole that we could see. Like, you can't buy it because you're making money on your buy side, not really on your exit.
Exactly.
I was able to get that.
A lot of people, man, a lot of my viewers, a lot of the audience, and then a lot of people in general, man. What I've been running into lately is the leads, right? A lot of people telling me that they are bumping into the leads, right? So into the leads, like what what kind of leads would you use to find creative deals? Or like, I know at this point in time, like, you're so slick to the, in the game, to the point where you see the numbers on the deal and you be like, no, this is a creative deal. You know what I mean? Like, if like, you just look at it and analyze it off top, like, wait, this is a creative deal.
Yeah.
This ain't really, you know what I mean? Like, this ain't a wholesale deal. So like for the viewers, man, what kind of leads do you target to get those deals, or do you target those leads specifically along with, you know what I mean, like the genre of the leads, if there was, such a thing?
Yeah. So you definitely want to filter them out, to get those leads. It's a lot of ways that you can get those leads. I can name one, right? I can name one, and it might take one of them may take a little footwork, right? But it's going to make sense when I explain it. So you can look them up online too. You don't have to actually go there if not, but them community legal aid services that help people with housing and things like that.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, if you go to them or you look them up and you get their number and call them, they have a list of some people that are in trouble. So you gotta think where a person that's in trouble, where would they go?
Fact.
That's a source. So
man, yeah,
and that's a source outside of Facebook. So you gotta think some of them, and just like your buyers, I do that same thing with the buyers too, because sometimes they may be outside of Facebook. So that's one. That's one way. The other way, when you're doing your filter, whether you're using batch leads, or I know some people use PropStream, RAI Pro. It's a lot of different ones out here that they use. You just filter out for what's that, 10 to 15 years on. You want tax delinquents. It's they'll definitely work. And when you look there, you can see the equity within the property, how much equity they had. Once you see the equity, once the equity looks, you see it low, right? These are chances that these are the people to go to, and you could tell what it is. That could be a subject to. You could take over that equity, that little bit of equity, because they don't have enough in there, or even on the fix and flip, it may be when you're talking to a seller. That's what I usually do when I'm talking to them. I'm really filling out to see what kind of deal I can create that I can do from it.
Right.
So if we're on the phone and then we're talking, and then the seller may say that they need to get out, and they're trying to, they have a full gut or a partial gut, not even more so a full gut, but a partial gut, then I already know right off the back, I want to see if I can create a win-win and an idea where as though they can't, I don't have to, I could just fix it for them and then list it for them. And then, we could split the whole profit. We could split it, you know what I mean? This way, I ain't got to worry about, coming up front, I don't got to do all of that.
Right.
I can utilize them and you say, okay, I'll work with you, Definitely. And that's why it's always good. That's why it's always good to know the story behind the deal, because that furthermore assists you on how you want to do the transaction.
Exactly, man. I tell people all the time, like, it's that why. It's that why. And then I'll also kind of pull out, like, I want to know how soon you want this done, right?
Exactly. How soon you want it done.
Yeah. We got a seller now. His brother in the property. His brother's been in the property for 5 years. His brother's only paying the mortgage which is $400. So the husband and the wife, they're not making no money. So they said they've given the brother, years to at least apply for a mortgage or whatever, so he can take over the property, et cetera, et cetera. And he had just been kind of like dragging. You know what I mean? So it's that situation right there. Like once we got they out that they wasn't making no money, and dude's like, yeah, my wife's tired of the situation. We're like, oh, okay, it's time to move. So then the brother was like, well, never's a good time to come see it. I work from 12 to 12, you know what I mean? But he ain't like, well, okay, that's cool. You work 12 to 12, that's cool. Can you go around the property and send us some pictures? No, I think y'all can come on, do it. Like, geez, okay. So, yeah, man, it's definitely important, man, to get that why they want to sell. And then that timeline, you know what I mean? So we actually had to give them 45 days timeline to close so the brother can find somewhere else, to go or whatever. So
exactly, the why is important. It's important, and that's one of the reasons. Like even with the portfolio that we were speaking on, a lot of people that were coming, they didn't understand. I had to explain to them the why so they could know, because they were trying to really get it all the way down. They were trying to go deep. They were trying to get it 3-4 million down. They were trying to go cut deep. And his why is he wasn't really strapped for cash. He's not really strapped for cash. He just wanted to take it and roll it into a bigger play.
Right.
So even on seller financing, he's going to want something nice down, so it was important for them to know that so they can know which way to move to with terms.
Most definitely. So you just said, we'll go back a bit when you said that he wasn't strapped for cash.
Yeah,
he didn't have to sell the property, right? So for a person who don't know, for the average person who don't know, for the person who's watching right now, when you bump into those sellers who want to sell, but they're not strapped for the cash,
right?
How do you approach? Like, how would you approach that seller? They motivated, but selling this thing or not selling it ain't gonna break them. Or it ain't gonna make them or break them. How do you handle those sellers?
So with those sellers, I would see the whole intention behind selling. Like, okay, I know that you're not strapped for cash. So what is the actual motive behind the sell? Like, what is your intentions? Okay, so once you sell, what is your intentions? What are your plans after you sell? Right? That gives me a key as to where they're going with it after they sell. That gives me far more a better notice and clear of what to do. Like, where to put them at, what position to put them at financially. Because this type of person could go for owner finance. If you're not strapped, you don't need it right away all in one shot. You don't need the finances in one shot. So now I can present a chance for you to sell it to me on a note and for you to become the bank, right? So for an example, if a person say, okay, I'm not strapped for cash, I just want to use the money to roll it into one of my e-commerce businesses or something. Okay, so how much would what would that startup look like? Just to get an idea of what we can get them coming in the door, just to make sure that they're good. If we're doing seller financing, that the down payment can help support them too, and that they're supported throughout the note, and so that we can structure the numbers so that everyone else can break out too good.
Exactly.
So these are ways.
The brother Jay Wicker was on here, and we was talking about Jay Wicker, like one of the first podcasts. Jay Wicker was telling me when he sent out an offer, he sent out 4 offers, right? He sent out the owner finance offer, he sent out the contract for deed, he sent out the seller 2 option, and then he sent out the regular purchase and sale agreement. And then we was going over, and I'm thinking like this is pretty epic, right? Because like we were saying, if we find a why, like you said, they might be trying to roll this over into a business.
You know what? That's he might be on to something, because I'm thinking now he got me thinking, got my life because you know why he blitzed them. He blitzed them in so many angles, because now what he's doing is he talking to you through the contracts.
Period.
Look, I'm gonna send you this. I'm gonna send you this. I'm gonna send you this. Now, whichever way you pick, that's the way we're gonna go. And I'm gonna know your situation based on which way you want to go.
Exactly. exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, he's
yeah. When he told me that one, I was like, oh, it's time to turn it up.
he turned it. Yeah, he blissed him. I don't know how many people do that.
Yeah, I don't know how many people. That's what I'm saying. Like I've never heard when he told me that, dude, it blew me out the water. I was like, wait,
listen. It might be him, but it might be 2 and 3.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
For sure. Shout out to Jay Wicker, man, the Mid City Network for the game.
Yeah, shout out to that brother. He just started the trend.
No doubt, man. Yeah, because when he told me that, I said, "Oh man, I'm opening up a can of worms." when he told me that, right? Yeah, so now they can look like, because I hit one guy. He said he was telling me that he wanted to move up north by his father. I didn't know that I didn't know that they had the property on own financing themselves. They was living in it and they wanted to sell it. They was almost done paying it. So when I went in, I was in the kitchen and I was literally explaining them because I took my girl with me. She's a realtor. So I let them know. I said, hey guys, we got 3 ways we can do this, right?
Right.
We can do this on the financing, same way you guys got it. I can do it. Add another 15 grand on top of it. If you guys willing to do it. We can do a lease option agreement, right? Or I go ahead and lease it. You guys still cash flow. Then I got the option to buy it. Or we got this realtor right here. She can list it. Right. So now whatever she listed for in the marketplace, you guys do it, whatever. But you guys got to pay her the way I do it. You ain't guys got to pay me nothing. We just locked into a legal partnership together. Just because he wanted to buy another place up north, it was like $300,000. And I'm like, well, depending on what you guys are gonna pay for that mortgage, we can structure this deal around whatever you guys pay for that mortgage.
Exactly.
So if you guys needed $5,000-$10,000 down to move into that crib to add with what you guys got, hell, the property that I'm leasing from you guys gonna pay for your mortgage.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So I applied that immediately after he told me that.
There you go.
Like immediately after he told me that, man, I definitely applied that, man. So like for somebody who watching, man, like what do you like you get a lot of deals done and a lot of people don't know like the day-to-day, how we move every day. You know what I mean? Like what does your morning routine look like?
So my morning routine, it consists of I work. First of all, I work out. I start off with my early morning jog and walk. And while I'm jogging and walking, I got on, a motivational podcast. I'm listening to, and y'all, whoever looking or listening, y'all can write them down. Tim Grover. He was actually Michael Jordan and Kobe's trainer.
Nice.
He has a lot of motivational, things going on this podcast, and he tells you about the killer instinct, which you're gonna need. There's another guy, what's that? Eric Thomas.
E.T.
I'm listening to E.T. while I'm working out during my morning jog and walking everything. E.T. Bob Proctor is another one that I'm listening to while I'm working out and things like that.
Nice.
Then when I get back from doing that, get myself together, I then, meet with the team and we go over everything that we're going to do step by step for the week as far as marketing and, different strategies and plans and things or what have you like that. After that, that's when I set that time frame, that time block to get into the business, because to get into the cold calling.
Yeah.
I got my list, and then, I cold call from a certain time block, about 2-3 hours out, and then stop. And then after that, I do my follow-ups, and then, that's just pretty much how it goes.
Well done, man. So you just literally running through the day. So you get up in the morning, you hit that me time.
Yeah, right? You get your me time out the way in the morning, get that out the way.
Get your brain together, get your body, get your juices flowing, you know what I'm saying? Get that metabolism cranking, get some good motivation into yourself, and then you straight to business.
Yeah, right after the me time.
So we just had Shamika Jackson on the show. Last week we was talking with Shamika, and Shamika was saying like they have these daily calls that they do every morning, right? So do you do the calls every morning with the team, or is you like there? Because she's in North Carolina, the team
Okay.
in Ohio. You know what I mean? So she do, you know what I'm saying? So she's forced to do the calls at at the moment. So do you do the calls, or like are you guys just like there?
Yeah, no, it's the calls. It's the calls. It's definitely the calls because right now we have some virtual assistants out in Egypt that we're working with that's helping us with the marketing and the Google ads and everything like that. So we had the calls with them. We had the calls since through different type of platforms that they get
Right.
to. And then after that, then it's we get in the business. But we make sure we always make it a point to have the calls with them so we can see where they're at with things.
Right. That's that's what's up, man. That's what's up. Make sure everybody on the same. Make sure we still.
You gotta check in. You gotta check in there.
Yeah, and make sure we all on the same wavelength. Now you was talking about the reverse engineer thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, me myself, I've always went out, locked the deal up, and then called a bunch of buyers, right? That's how I've always did it until I get the list. You know what I mean? Until I get the list. What is one thing about the business, that almost no one agrees with you about?
The whole business itself?
Yeah, what is something in the business that nobody agrees with you about?
So this is what they're so certain people, they're just like, all the regulators within real estate that's trying to crack down on us. You know where I'm going. You know where I'm going. So they're like that. Oh no, it's unethical. Y'all, you guys are still in equity, and no. And that's how they're acting with it. And that's where they don't agree at. But I always was going back for it.
Yeah.
Come on, we're not. Come on.
For sure, man. For sure.
Yeah, that's exactly That's exactly what I always run into.
Yeah, for sure, man. For sure. So, like, currently, what is your buy box, right? Because I know you've moved into a space to where you grabbing a few here and there. You know what I mean? Tucking away, building a legacy at the same time. I know you ain't just out here, just what I'm saying, having everybody else build West, and you ain't grabbing none.
Buy box. Yeah, the buy box. So the buy box is going to be right now is going to be in that mobile home park space though. The buy box. So right now I'm talking about anywhere from 20 to 50 pads.
Nice.
20 to 50 pads. City water. The utilities got to be on city water, city sewer, ideally, and it could be sub-metered or direct bill as far as the utilities, the water goes.
Nice. Yeah. So like, if anybody wanted to send a deal, can they send a deal to your email?
They can send it to their email. They can send it right to their email.
Guys, we got the email at the bottom. You guys got those mobile homes. You guys
in Pennsylvania. In Pennsylvania.
In PA.
In Pennsylvania.
In PA, guys. You guys got those in PA. So Philly, Erie, Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Erie, Pittsburgh, Lancaster, PA is one. Coatesville, PA is one. Gap, PA is another. So all of those areas that's closer to just west of Philadelphia.
Most definitely. Guys, send those deals. You guys got those mobile parks, send those deals. How about the RV parks? The RV
parks too. So
guys, send those deals.
RV parks, mixture of mobile and RV, because some mobile homes, some parks can be zoned for a mixture.
Right. Oh man, I didn't know that.
It's a lot with that. It's a big that right there, that game right there. It's not more so an equity game. It's just a straight cash flow game.
Right.
Cash flow game.
So you get them pads and you post up.
Yeah, you get the pads. Yeah, you get the pads. You could turn the whole park around. You might get one for like $1 million. By the time you turned the park around and did the infill, it may be worth $5. It may be worth $3.
Right. So I was watching somebody on TikTok the other day. I think her name was Natalie Brimsmaid or something like that. And she was saying how she had started off with the park. She had turned the park around. And then, it was like you said, it was like $1.2 million. And then the next thing you know, when she, ended up getting the park appraised with her after she lifted up, it was like $3.2 million. And I was like, what? Just, like that thing just kind of blew up. And man, that's pretty awesome. I didn't know that because once I first saw somebody doing it, I forgot what her name is, man. We have some friends on here. She wholesale a lot of wheels and wheels.
Yeah. I know.
Deals and wheels. I forgot her name, but shout out to that sister, man. She's doing it with that. She's doing it with the mobile home thing, man. Definitely. Like what is what doing this right now? A lot of people. There's a lot of people jumping in, and I believe a lot of them jumping in for the cash grab. And I believe a lot of people will be misled by the cash grab. This is why a lot of people can't get real deals and they fall out. They fall off to the wayside after, a few months, right? What is one of the most important lessons, man, that you've learned during this that actually keep you going?
Oh, the most important lesson that I learned is, patience and discipline. You have to be disciplined with this game. You have to be patient. And your sole reason that you're in for, you got to always remember, the more problems that you solve, the more, you become within this book. So you're always looking for problems that you could solve. I appreciate the problems that you're going to solve and the problems that's going to come your way. So,
no doubt, man.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. So that way you don't get, because a person that get frustrated when they look at the cash and they start looking at it. Oh, this cash, I'm not gonna. I expected this. I expected to get this, but you were looking at it the wrong way. You weren't in it for the wrong reason. You're in it for the wrong reason.
Most definitely, man. Most definitely. And like I said, I see that all the time, man. People be like, yeah, well, I ain't got no deal. And they go out and they locking properties up. They don't know what to do. They locking properties up astronomical. And, it's like they literally looked at the thing on Zillow and was like, oh, yeah, this is what it's worth. Like, no, it's not what it's worth.
That's why I go back to what I was saying, right? The way that I was doing it is because I see that all the time. And for a lot of these new, right while we're speaking on them too, the new wholesalers or the newbies, right? I'm glad that you brought that up because I see that all the time. They may have something that, it may have 180,000 in work that need to be done. And they see it and think it's just because it may be in a good area, that is a good deal, but it's not a good deal to a buyer with deep pockets that got the right and choice to be picky and choosy because they got it to do it and they're going to do it and they know what they want. You know what I mean? They know what they want, how they want, when they want, and they know what they want to spend on it. So that's why I always said, okay, for them, what I would do is, being new is make more relationships, build more relationships with these buyers, qualify them, vet them out, see what they want, see what they want to spend, see where they want to buy, see why they want to buy, right? And then you can go out and start finding the actual properties that match up with them. Because that's like saying, okay, I'm going to just go out and get anything. I'm going to go get a bunch of snowsuits and go over to Puerto Rico and sell them. You can't.
Exactly. Good luck with that.
That's not what they want.
Yeah, fact.
And that's what's going to happen to you every time. They're going to tell you no. Yeah. Or I might ghost you. You see that out here.
Period. Yeah, that was one of the deal I had, man. I had a deal in St. Louis. I had an old 4 unit. This thing was huge. Had an old 4 unit. They had converted one side, 2 of them, into 1 unit. They was going to convert the other side to a unit. Now, the other side, the back of the property, the roof had sinked in. It literally caved in 2 floors, 3 floors, all the way to the bottom. Dude, talk about it was some lady in the basement who he let sleep there. He hoped she got out. And all this old crazy type of shit. I'm there with my dude, like, man, there's a lady in the basement.
Wait, wait, was she squatting or was it just?
Listen, dude said lady was in the basement. He hoped she got out the basement before the thing fell. So we leaving the property. My dude, like, man, there's somebody in the basement. I'm like, dude, stop saying there's somebody in the basement. Don't say that. But I ended up locking that up too high. Like you said, it was a good area. It was some rehabs going on, and I ended up locking that up too high. I didn't know. Like, this is like my first contract. I didn't know. You know what I mean? I was just happy that people were like, yeah, it's in the contract. I was like, oh, yeah.
You get it. Let me.
Yeah, and I ended up locking it up, man, for like 150. Long story short, they ended up moving it for 90. And I was like, and I had a buyer that was gonna give me $100,000 for it. And I told that man no, because I had locked it up at 150, whatever, and I could have made that. Actually, I would have made $23,000 on that deal, and that would be my first deal. And I locked it up too high. I didn't know what was going on. So.
But we learn.
yeah, man. We definitely learn, man. We ain't got nothing else. You know what I mean? Like it is.
And every day.
Yeah. So from when you started to now, what would be? Because we get a little personal, right quick. What's your biggest failure in so far in the business, and what did you learn from it?
So the biggest failure in the business is basically, putting trust in certain people, starting out, certain people say who they say they are and what they can do, and things like that. Because even starting out, I started out rough. Trust me. You think that, okay, that one thing, that 23 that you ran through, it got hit. Man, I started out where though I ran into a person, right? They said that he basically said he was a mentor, right? And come to find out, he wasn't really no mentor.
Wow.
You see what I mean? He wasn't really. He didn't even know. So I found out that, listen, if your mentor don't got a mentor, then you don't got a mentor.
Period.
You see what I'm saying?
Period.
Like, what are you looking? You know what I mean? But I'm new, just going in. I'm just going in, going at. So I put my trust and faith and belief, like, okay, he can do this. He's running around in different groups and saying that, he can help this person, that person, this person. We're on the phone talking, and it's like, I'm like, well, I'm asking certain questions, and he's like, I guess, what you mean you guess so?
Yeah.
And in the midst of that, I end up doing some stuff on my own, locking stuff up on my own without, but it's just putting that, that trust and that faith in certain people, it's just getting a better understanding of building rapport better, that's just pretty much it in a nutshell with that. Yep. And that was my biggest failure. And then, that was my biggest failure because it kind of, in that beginning stages kind of set me back a little bit around that time. Because, time is part of the thing that kills deals,
Period.
So, but I learned that from that and, was able to keep that in my mental Rolodex and keep it going,
Well, definitely, man. Somebody say lessons learned. Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, lessons learned, definitely.
That's definitely a lesson learned on that, man. What is, like, to me, when I wholesale real estate, I think about everybody that's involved, right? Because it's not a transaction between just me, the seller, and the buyer, right? We got the clean out guys involved. They got to tear away stuff. Title company get paid. You know what I'm saying? And then once the buyer closed, the rehab crew come in. You know what I mean? Those guys get paid. Like, once we wholesale a contract, we literally setting off a chain of employment.
Yeah.
For people, right? A lot of people don't look at that. Like, I was telling one of my friends today, he was saying he was like, he was kind of downplaying the situation. And I'm like, we was literally just sitting together at the real estate event. And I'm like, dude, you bought 100 houses last year. Why is you like downplaying the situation? Like, how many people that you put in the houses last year? Like, how many families that you put in the homes last year? Like, dude, that's not like a mild situation. Right. You know what I mean? And I'm like, dude, you should be.
Situation. You got some people with some money in your hand at stake.
Yeah, he was like, because he was a speaker tonight, He was like, I don't know why they want me up there. And I'm like, dude, like, you're the man. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you know what I mean? But, you know, he's a humble guy, man. So, you know, I dig it. That's another reason why I like the guy so much. You know what I mean? He got so much money, so much real estate, but they, you know, humble. You know, just a humble guy, man. But yeah, that's a real trip, man. It'd be a real trip. So like, this leads me to my, you know, my next question. If you could give somebody like a piece of advice on going into mobile home sector, what would that piece of advice be?
Going into the mobile home sector, I would say, just, you know, if they're starting out and going into there, study the markets, you know, understand the markets, connect with a commercial realtor within certain markets that they're in, or a commercial broker, and so that you can get a better understanding and knowledge on the markets and the trends of the markets and things like that, you know, especially the basics, you know. Also, I would say attend the meetups. See how they have meetups too. Just like how you went to a meetup, attend the meetups, attend the mobile home meetups and the mobile home park meetups. Attend them, network, build.
Definitely. It took me a while to get to my first REI meetup. You know what I mean? Because I was in the field. I'm like, hey man, I'm gonna do this on my own. I don't, you know.
You just swinging and swinging.
Yeah, it took me a while to get to the REI meetups, and then this meetup, like what I'm at last, you know, what I just left before we started the podcast. You getting all these rooms and all these people like Lenny, you know, they Lenny. And I'm like, damn, I didn't know these motherfuckers even know who I was. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Oh no, look, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm in the room. They like Lenny, and I'm like, oh shit, who's not close with you or what? You know, but they just know my name though. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man, it's surreal sometimes, man.
Yeah, you'd be surprised, man.
Yeah,
I seen you like we was like almost around the same time. I seen you your beginning.
Yeah.
From the beginning.
All day long, man.
Yeah, man.
It's just that journey. Like I was telling people today, I was like, me and Jamar, we kind of like right here because we both started 2 years ago.
We started the same. I remember right. The same time.
So now we both buying real estate. We both, you know what I mean?
Like right there, and then
right. And it was just talking about today. It was literally just talking about today how just right before I walked out the REI meeting, how like Sam, the owner of the title company, was telling the other investors, like, wholesaling is that cash flow that you're going to get to use to build your portfolio. Right?
No, absolutely.
And she's in the room with all these investors, and they all looking around this shit because they play with the loans. They going to the bank. Absolutely. They going to the loans, and they snatching interest out. They playing with debt.
Yep.
And when she tells them wholesaling is the way to cash flow, they all looking at each other like, oh shit, maybe we should be wholesaling. You know what I mean? So they're like, maybe we should be wholesaling.
And they don't understand that the important part about wholesaling, because like you see like I see a lot of realtors was never wholesaling at one point. They weren't.
Exactly.
Brokers weren't wholesaling at one point.
Exactly.
So now it's more so you can't beat them, join them. Like you gotta wholesale.
Period.
You're gonna have to add that to your
you're gonna have to.
You're gonna have to. Wholesaling is a stronghold, you know, in real estate, because it's definitely an important role for buyers. You know, the investors definitely. That's like going down to the flea market and being able to grab.
Yeah.
So that's you definitely, you can't do that. You know, they want to buy from the vendors. They don't want to go to Walmart to get it. You know what I mean? So
exactly.
That's what we the wholesaler.
Yeah, all day long.
You know, we gonna make sure they eat coming in the door. But if they went to anybody else, like not coming at with a broker, but if a broker wasn't wholesaling and they just trying to do it, then they're not gonna make that much coming in the door. Like you said earlier, they just trying to get the bank. So
exactly.
That's why it's important. Wholesale the ownership. There we go.
Ownership.
Here we go. Wholesale your way to freedom. There we go.
Yes, sir. Yeah, that gorillapreneur.
Yeah.
Gorilla in there.
That's my man, gorillapreneur. That's my man, Jamal Lockhart.
Yeah, it's Jamal Lockhart. Shout out to Jamal.
That's my man. Yeah.
You already know, man. Shit, you know, I know I gotta have him on here. You already know.
You gotta get him on there.
I got you. So we went over the 3 podcasts that you recommend. I was literally one of the questions that I had to ask you. But real quick, like on the personal side, if what would be the title of the book about you if your worst enemy wrote it?
Oh man.
I asked everybody that one.
Oh man. Oh, it would be it just it would be something crazy along the line.
What's up? I always say, I always be like, this little sharp motherfucker.
Something crazy. He always think he perfect. He always think he something like from Philly to Freedom. I like that one.
Yeah,
that's what the book will be more so about. That some kind of along the line of hating. He always think that he's, and that's not the case. That's not the case. That I think that I'm perfect.
Now there is a lot of us, man, who of our journey, we document our journey through, videography, live videos, reels, things of this nature, man. If you had to write a book tomorrow,
right,
what would you write about?
Oh, that it would be more so a journey. It'll start with the timeline, starting from, I want to say 10, as far as back I can remember, all the way up to now. The different adversity that I've been through, and then, chapters in it where how I overcame it, and then the chapters after, my lessons from it, and the chapters with, where I'm going right now. So where I'm at right now.
Most definitely.
It'll definitely be. It'll be one hell of a movie.
You shot and you said that you started from 10, right?
I would have started from 10.
Let's just say, because I want to, like, a lot of people do start entrepreneurship late, but then a lot of us through our lives, we've done certain things entrepreneurial like, maybe the little quarter bag of candy Tootsie, what I mean, that you sell in school. So
you did, that's entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
I remember it was one time even in high school, I used to go. So not the high school that I graduated from, but there was a school that I ended up leaving the neighborhood that I was in because my mom thought that it would be better for me to go to high school over there. I didn't agree with it because I was used to being in the urban.
Yeah, you with the homies.
Yeah, you want to be with the homies. You want to be out doing homie stuff in the hood or whatever. But this was more so like a suburban feel in a high school. And me, when I'm like, I don't want to be over here, but I did ended up doing some entrepreneurial stuff in there. I used to get the stuff I used to make up like on lunch and sell the sandwiches. I used to make up a couple sandwiches, slice the sandwiches. So, it would definitely.
Yeah, because everybody has like a story, you know what I mean? Like Warren Buffett used to go door to door. He sold coke, and Steve Jobs. I didn't even know, this was so crazy. When I got the hookup back in the day with Master P, AJ Johnson, I did not know that Steve Jobs was literally selling those same phones before he started Apple.
Yeah.
He was selling the same criminal ass bootleg service phone.
Yeah.
Started out.
You'd be surprised of, what these companies come of.
Exactly.
Like Dunkin' Donuts, it started out as one small food truck, one beat up small food truck.
Yeah, that's kind of how Cheesecake Factory started.
Yeah.
His wife took a cheesecake to work that his wife made, and they like, y'all should sell these. Next thing you know, she was selling them out of her basement. Next thing you know, they opened the first Cheesecake Factory in '78. Now they making $1 million, $2 million a month off every store.
Yeah, it always starts from something very, very small that somebody won't think that would work.
Exactly.
Right? Because the thing is that your idea is way bigger than the substance that you're using.
Most definitely.
To get there. So your idea overpowers that, what you got to use to get there. So, and that's what they understand. You know, the guy give you something small, right? If you can't work with that, then how you gonna act when you get to that next level? If you can adjust right here with what you have right here and work with this to turn it into something, then you gonna get something.
So recently, we've had old Barry B and Michelle B at the White House. They unloaded they photos today. Okay, so this goes back to my this goes like to one of the questions. If you had a chance to sit and have coffee with one historical figure, who would it be?
Man, it probably would be. It would definitely probably be like Frederick Douglass or somebody.
Definitely.
I would dig deep on that. Yeah, Frederick Douglass. Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. And see, that's wild you said that, because we know the Martin Luther Kings, we know the Representative this, we know John Lewis, and we know Malcolm X, and some of us know about Marcus Garvey. But see, Frederick Douglass was a whole different monster.
Yeah, it was
people don't know Frederick Douglass. His mind was, they don't even touch that guy in school because they're gonna fear a revolution gonna start.
Only thing you might see is just a picture.
That's it. That's it.
They're gonna talk about.
Yeah. No, if they get to talk about him, they gonna start a revolution.
They ain't gonna talk about it.
That's definitely true. I don't know what they said was true. McDonald's ain't about burgers. It's not. It's definitely about real estate.
Definitely real estate. Definitely.
The owners sells burgers. McDonald's sells real estate.
They got the property. They got the land. The property. It's all about real estate.
That's right. Facts. Facts. Definitely all about real estate, man. We about to close this thing down. Well, not right now. I got a few more questions, man. I just wanted to dig in. If you could go back and give your 18-year-old self some advice, what would you tell your 18-year-old self today?
Oh, absolutely. I would definitely tell myself, slow down. Stop trying to grow up fast. You don't have to, you got time. You don't have to grow up fast. I would definitely lean more into not being around, certain situations that will put me in harm's way or anything like that. Because I've definitely been in those. A lot of situations growing up where I'm glad to be here.
Yeah.
But I would definitely, that's what I definitely would solely tell myself.
Yeah. I tell everybody, man, like you just said, a lot of us come from backgrounds to where corporate America, may say we're not fit for the space that we're in. You know what I mean? And there are barriers in real estate. There are barriers with dealing with certain people. And I tell people all the time, I remember a clip that Max Maxwell had. Somebody had bought him a property. And in that property, in that deed, it was saying that this house is never to be sold to Negroes.
Yeah.
He bought that property just because of that clause.
Yeah.
He said, I need this one.
Yeah.
So, if for all the people out there who may not think there's any discriminatory practices in real estate when it comes to wealth for Black and brown people,
there are, and and that's just to be honest. It's just to be honest. We have friends in this space. We have everybody is a different color. We see it different, in business. But solely behind the scenes, there are. There's the higher ups, and there are people that are definitely. And if you look at it, you've ever seen the movie The Banker?
Definitely. That's literally one of my favorites.
Yeah, the movie The Banker. It shows you. There's one Black guy. They try to deny him of buying in certain areas. He was sneaking in and learning the game. What's the ARV? What's this? What's the cap rate? What's this?
That's right.
He was writing it down.
Yeah.
There was no computers or nothing in.
That's right.
He learned that then and was able to go out and buy a whole big commercial property.
Facts.
Him and his partner. That was the funder.
And what's so wild today is in that movie, I remember about the appraisal in that movie, and that literally just happened to a few months ago.
He was doing all of that in that movie.
Yeah, that literally just happened to a few months ago when they ARV went up after the appraisal.
Was in 1930s, 20s, 40s.
Exactly.
He was cold calling and door knocking in.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
Ain't nothing changed.
Ain't nothing changed. Yeah, that's right. We got a little more tech.
We got a little tech now.
That's it.
So all y'all newbies, y'all can do it.
Yeah, that's all we get, man. So, man, tell us about Jamar real quick, man. For the last 5 minutes, man. We understand you're a family man. You work hard. What was within the family unit? Who was your biggest influence?
I want to say my fiance is it's a bunch of components, to that.
Big ups to the fiance.
Yeah, big ups. She keeps me pushing, keeps things going. My fiance, my kids, and then also my siblings, my brothers and my sisters. I'm the youngest, so they always, pretty much, no matter whether I was getting into stuff or not, they definitely sheltered me and after me and things like that. So they definitely impacted, where I am and where I'm going and things like that. Definitely have a great support system. And I highly appreciate that.
Yeah, man, most definitely, man. A lot of us don't have that. And a lot of people don't really have our back in business. You know what I mean? And I just want to say to somebody watching now, man, who might not feel like you getting support from anywhere, like lean on the people who closest to you.
Yeah.
And then, like, there's a big wholesaling network. There's a big real estate network, man, of really, really awesome, cool people.
It is.
Link up with as much people as you can. Partnerships. Your network is your network, and your network can also be your mental stability at the same time.
It can. A lot of people that's in my network, right? And speaking of that, like the influence and things like that, like I even I told my guy, shout out to my guy Justin, like, and he's doing major things out here. I told him, I said, listen, you could call me up. You know what I mean? Even if I'm busy, I know I'm gonna get back to you. But even if it's just to kick it, if it's something you need to get some space free up in your head, then just call me up.
Right. Yeah, we gonna kick it. We gonna get it together.
This game is based on relationships. It's built on relationships. Without, I always say, Mike couldn't do it without Scotty and Phil.
Oh man,
you see what I'm saying? So it's built on relationships, man. It's built on gelling.
Thanks, though. That's wild, man. You said that. That's why you said that. So real quick, man. I know you know what I'm saying. I know you're a reader. So give us 3 books, man, real quick. For the audience, man. 3 books that they can pick up.
I got a library.
It's going down.
So hold on. This is one of them.
7 Habits of Highly Effective People. You know what? I just saw something about that book. I need to get that book.
I definitely want to get that.
I need to get that book.
They go one right for you, especially if you starting out. All right, this is for that. And this is more so on the real estate side. So I mix it up with the motivational stuff and real estate. So I do half and half, and take my notes on it. But this is another one that you should get.
Tax-free wealth?
Yeah.
Okay, so I see the rich dad stamp in the corner.
Yeah. This is his accountant.
Most definitely. Oh, really? That is awesome.
Yeah.
So we were just talking about that yesterday, a few tax strategies, whatever.
Yeah.
On over at the Real Estate Holics podcast with Jay Wicker. We was just talking about
that.
Yeah, we were just talking about a few strategies yesterday.
Yeah, that's one. I got another one too. This one. This the classic. Everybody know this one. I got one that's in the car that I was.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's that Rob Green.
Yeah, he has a lot. He has he has a lot of them. He has a lot of good ones.
Yeah, that Rob Green. Well, man, bro, man, Jamar, man, thanks for coming on, man. I definitely appreciate you, man. You giving us, you know what I'm saying, your time and your knowledge, man. Give some of these guys, wealth of information, man, that you brought today, man. We definitely appreciate you for it, man. I know the guys watching definitely, appreciate you for it, man. Definitely. As you can see, man, they got some good game, some jewels, we be dropping, man. And man, we got to do this again, man. We definitely got to do this again.
Oh yeah, we definitely got to do it again. I'll definitely be back. I'll definitely be back.
For sure, man. Yeah, next time, man, I won't be late. I know I was like 3 minutes late, kind of.
No, running. I know you. That's all good. That's all
for
good.
Sure, man. For sure, man. But yeah, bro, man. Thanks again. If anybody want to watch this video will be on YouTube, guys. Jamar Wicker, JT Mills LLC, and guys, if you guys got any deals on mobile homes in the Pennsylvania area, send those deals to JT Mills LLC at gmail.com. Mobile home parks, RV parks, single families, send them on over, man, to Jamar Mills, man. Jamar, good people, y'all. They're going to take care of you guys.
Sure.
No doubt, man. Thanks so much for coming, bro. And, we'll talk soon.
Talk soon, man.
Peace.